All right. We are doing a fully recorded session tonight. Okay. So I'm going to apologize in advance if you can hear any background noise. I've got the kid playing Legos. I've got the dog snoring beside me. So hopefully that doesn't interrupt anything, but we're going to go ahead and dive in because here's the deal. I would reschedule this to have some people join live. However, we are on a tight time schedule to get 8 weeks worth of our education classes done before the first week of like the Christmas holidays. So, if we want to be able to do each session like every week or like go over each topic, one topic per week, and be done before Christmas, we've got to stay on track, which that is nuts to think that Christmas is that close. Like, let's just not talk about it, okay? Can we talk about habits instead? All right. So, today we are talking about anchor habits. So, let's move forward here. All right. This is it. This is what we have been making space for. Your healthy habits. So, this is, let's see. I don't think that that's correct. Hold on. I don't think my new notes saved. Okay, but that did. Okay, that's good. That's good. Oh my goodness, guys. I don't think my new notes saved for the first couple of slides, but they did for the I was almost gonna think like, do I have none of my material? Okay. It was going too smoothly, right? This is week 3 and it was just going too smooth. Okay. But this is what we have been making space for. All right. So determining where our energy is going and creating a plan so that we can take back control of our energy and then learning how to prioritize and execute and all of these things. We have been making space for our healthy habits, our anchor habits. So, we're going to talk about why they are anchor habits and not non-negotiable. Does that sound familiar? The domino effect of our healthy habits, high impact habits, guilt driven versus grounding. And we're going to finish with, guess what, guys? We're not broken. We are not broken. Okay. So, why are we shifting from non negotiable language to anchor language? Okay. So non-negotiable when you say that, because if you've been coaching with me for a while, you've heard me say that. I have said this. I have lived this for a long time. But the thing is it always felt very heavy. Like even to me, somebody that knows and understands what's going on, and lives this inside and out, that can even feel very heavy for me as well. And the thing is so it's heavy, it's rigid, and it just feels like one more thing to fail. So if you say like this is non-negotiable, okay, well, this kind of goes back to what we've been talking to that assumes those like rigid time management plans, things like that. It assumes that you have control over your environment. And living in the chaos that we are living in, we just don't, right? And so we don't have control over what goes on every single day. And so it really just feels like when we call it non negotiable, it feels like, oh, great, this is just one more thing that I get to fail at today, when I'm having a rough day. Anyway, but the thing is life gets tough. We're in that whirlwind and it all feels so overwhelming that we just quit, right? We quit everything and we just want to focus on survival when we're in that place, right? And that's how I feel. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel when I like those non-negotiable habits are kind of like falling apart, right? It's like I just got to focus on survival right now. Whereas an anchor habit, like an anchor, when you think about that an anchor is grounding, right? It's steady. It keeps you from floating away. It's doable in the midst of the whirlwind. Okay. So instead of allowing the whirlwind to like sweep us up and take us away, which is what usually happens when life goes sideways, right? Is you get that whirlwind effect. And you just feel like it picks you up and sweeps you away. You just don't have control. Whereas an anchor helps to keep you grounded. It helps to keep you feet on the floor. So if we're shifting this, then how do we do it, right? So the idea also of an anchor habit is like a true anchor habit is like the first domino that sets off a chain reaction of other dominoes or healthy habits, right? So one action that sets others in motion. It's one small action that once done, it makes other healthy actions easier to follow. So like putting your all right, so let's look at some domino effects here. Let's look at some examples. So putting your phone on do not disturb at night makes it easier to wind down and go to sleep on time, right? So if we're wanting to wind down and go to sleep by 10 p.m., if we have our notifications shut off at say like 8:30, 9 o'clock, we're not getting stimulated. That's like one less thing that stimulates us before it's time to go to bed. So going to sleep by 10 p.m., it's easier, right? So, or it's easier to go to sleep by like say 10 p.m., just as that example. But so then going to sleep by 10 p.m. makes it easier to wake up in the morning. So if we're winding down, we're going to sleep on time, we're sleeping good at night, we can wake up by like whatever, 5:36. I mean, as an adult, the whole 8 hour, you need 8 hours of sleep. That is a myth as an adult. It's anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours, okay? And your sweet spot is somewhere in between. That's a whole nother topic. We like, but I can't not say it, right? That's the nutrition coach in me. This is like, okay, we need rest, we need recovery, right? But so that is a myth. You need to find out what you feel the best at. For me, it's right around 7.5 hours. If I fall in there, I feel great. So for me, going to bed at 10 p.m., I get up at 5 a.m. just fine, right? But so getting up, so that's the thing. We're going to bed easier, we're sleeping better, it's easier to get up early in the morning. Getting up earlier gives you more time to either work out, pack a healthy lunch, etc. So we set off this chain reaction where the only thing that you expected of yourself was to have your phone on do not disturb. That was one small action, but that one small action sets off a chain reaction of more actions that help us to stay on track, right? Okay. So another example is meal planning every Saturday morning. Meal planning every Saturday morning. It makes it easier to put together a healthy grocery list. So if we write down our meal plan, we get only put on the grocery list what we need for that meal plan, right? So then having a healthy grocery list keeps us on track while we're shopping in the store, right? We have a plan, so we don't need to deviate from it. Having healthy food in the house makes it easier to pack a healthy lunch, know what's for dinner, and so on. So the only thing I expected, right? So the only thing we expected of ourselves was making that meal plan. That's the only action that's expected. And so if I make a meal plan, it takes me 10 or 15 minutes, it sets off the chain reaction of other actions that are going to help me stay on track. So anchor habits don't just check a box on a to-do list, they set the tone. Okay. So these are intentional things that we're going to do to set the tone, to set the environment that we desire, right? The environment that is going to be conducive to all the other habits that we want to be able to stack on later. All right, so we want high impact habits, right? So we can expect something small from ourselves, but the thing is, if it's a true anchor habit that's going to keep you grounded, it has to have high impact, right? Or else it's not going to be that big of a deal, right? So if we miss it or whatever, it's not going to be, it's just like meh. Doesn't cause that many waves or anything like that. So, examples of high impact habits. So we want to ask ourselves, Does this habit improve multiple areas of my life? We want to ask, does this habit make other habits easier or more likely to happen, right? So, some examples: meal planning. Again, literally, there are times when my life is like falling apart around me and there's nothing else. Like, I can't function. I can't think. My brain literally has checked out. Okay. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. I know we've all been there. But the thing is I still meal plan. Even if it might suck, it might not be the best, it might not, um, it might be all easy things, things that I can handle at that time, but it's still done. It's still something that helps me stay on some kind of track, right? So, meal planning, a bedtime routine. The thing is, a bedtime routine makes or breaks the morning routine. If you are beating your head against the wall trying to have a better morning routine because it's just you suck as a morning person, I'm not a morning person or a night owl, okay? I'm not an early bird or a night owl. Is that what it is? An early bird or a night owl? Where's the box that I can check for neither? Because that is me. Neither one. I can't do either one. Which is really rough. Okay. Just saying, it's really rough. But the thing is if you're beating your head against the wall, not able to build a good morning routine, try with a bedtime routine. Stop trying so hard to make like a square peg fit in a round hole. Start with a bedtime routine. See how your morning goes after that. But a good bedtime routine makes or breaks the good morning routine, okay? Personal development. Okay, this is a big one. This is a big one. Personal development reading or listening. Okay, so whether you're reading a personal development book or listening to a podcast or whatever, I used to think that I was above personal development reading, like self-help books. I was like, I don't need help. I don't need self-help. Okay. If your life is falling apart around you and you feel like everything's going up in flames, you probably need help. And that is where I finally was like, all right, well, the thing is it can't get any worse than what I'm living in right now. So I might as well see what somebody else has to say about it. So that's what got me into it. But the thing is it sets your attitude. It sets your mood. And yes, you can learn valuable things. You can learn valuable things that really speak to you. And not, what? Sometimes it's not even that big, not like something life changing or earth shattering or like anything like that. It's just a mood. It's like listening to something that is inspirational and motivational and listening to stories of people overcoming hardship and things like that. Those are so inspirational. But the thing is you're putting your mind in a certain headspace. And I notice that when things in my life are kind of like, like headed off track, like not going in the right direction, and my mind is not in a good place, guess what? I probably did. I have not been doing any sort of personal development reading or listening to those inspirational, motivational podcasts, things like that. So my mind is kind of going wherever, right? So our mind has a diet as well. That's why having personal development, reading or listening, as part of like an anchor habit is because it helps provide that, like that attitude, that growth mindset, that place that we want our mind to be in. And it just sets the atmosphere for that. Another high impact habit is putting your phone on do not disturb and managing your notifications. Okay. So again, talking about our brain, like our mindset, what we put into our brain dictates, kind of like our mood and the state of mind that we're in, things like that. So by putting your phone, not only is putting your phone on do not disturb at night at a certain time helping you to wind down, you're not getting like that extra stimulation that you don't need right before bed. But managing your notifications, literally like going into the settings of your phone and telling your phone what apps are allowed to send you notifications. For me, all social media notifications are shut off. Off. I have my Facebook Messenger notifications on, but it doesn't like buzz or vibrate or anything. I just get like a little, like the little badge, like the little number badge or whatever, the red badge, the one that you have to clear, like obsessively clear so that those things aren't on my phone. That's another reason why I shut badges off. That's another reason why there's apps on my phone that are not allowed to send me notifications or badges, or else because like I'll be obsessive about checking it. You don't need to do that. Ow. My you want to say hi that bad? Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. See, he really wants his mom. He really wants his mom. You say hi. You say hi. Okay. Okay. Well, I can't. Not right now. You have to go lay down. Yes, you have to go lay down. He's literally under my desk, like clawing at my knees so that I will hold him or pet him or something. You're just gonna have to wait. Yeah, you're just gonna have to wait. Okay. So notification management. That is literally the reason why I don't have but oh yeah, Facebook Messenger. So Facebook Messenger, I do have those notifications on just because for work, like I need to be able to see if somebody that's how a lot of times that's the only way I can communicate with certain people or that's how they choose to communicate with me. So, it's a thing. It's a work thing. But those notifications go off when do not disturb comes on, right? And I don't have like likes and posts and comments and things like that. Those notifications do not go off on my phone. There's certain apps that I download that want to like you order Domino's pizza and then all of a sudden they want to send you notifications. Jimmy John's wants to send you a notification every time you're like within 10 miles of a Jimmy John's, right? So there's just things that are constantly stimulating you with notifications that doesn't need to. And so notification management is important, especially if you are wanting to this like I can't remember if this is like in the boundary. I think it is like this. There's so much crossover, guys. All of these topics. There's a lot of crossover. But it's okay. We will talk about it twice. It is that important. So, but the thing is, so notification management, those apps do not need to be blowing up your phone. There's no reason why you need to look at any of that at any time. If I want to use the Domino's app, I will open up the Domino's app and I will choose that now is the time for me to look at that app. I feel that way about everything on my phone. And so go in and actually shut all of that off. Shut it all off. It removes that temptation to even open that app when you don't need it. And then but then maybe having all of those notifications on are drowning out the things that are actually going to help you, like the community app. So you have or if you're doing coaching and you still have the fitness tracker app. So there's things that like, oh, I just don't check it, right? I have so many notifications, it's hard to me to go. And so then I'm missing things that are going on in the community. Okay, but that if you got those notifications, even if you don't look at it right away, you go look at it, like scroll it on your lunch break or whatever. But the thing is that that is feeding the proper mindset that we actually want. That's motivational. It's giving you tips and advice. It's support. It's encouragement. It's community. And it's exactly what you want your mindset to be at. And what you want your mindset to be in is getting lost in all of the other notifications that don't matter, right? So, notification management is huge. Shut off the things that don't matter so that you can make space and make room for the things that do matter. Don't scroll Facebook. Jump in the community. Tell the community what's going on and start discussions that way so that we can have uplifting and motivational, encouraging, get conversations and notifications and things that are fueling you, kind of like the personal development habit, right? So, that are actually fueling the life that you want, right? Make room for that and shut off all the noise that doesn't matter that puts you in a negative headspace. Okay. Hopefully that all makes sense. I am very passionate about notification management on your phone, because it is a huge energy suck on your life. And so if you can get control of the notifications on your phone, it's a better life, guys. Just trust me, it's a better life. Okay. So notice how none of these things, none of these high impact habits are hitting a protein goal, drinking 100 ounces of water, getting 10,000 steps in a day. They're not. No. So an anchor habit, are those high impact habits? Would you get big results in the direction that you want to go if you were hitting your protein every day, drinking 100 ounces of water, right? That checkbox, though, is not necessarily an anchor habit that's going to keep you grounded. That comes later, okay? So what we want to talk about is starting at the beginning. If we don't have space for getting 10,000 steps in a day, if we don't have space for tracking our food to make sure that we hit our protein goal every day, if we're not making space for that or reserving energy for that or building up our capacity for that, what's going to happen? What's always happen? We'll do it for a little while as long as things are going good, but eventually, like that's when it's just a checkbox that has to be done. That's the first thing to go. The whirlwind comes in to sweep you off your feet. The whirlwind of life, right? The chaos sweeps you off your feet. And guess what? Those are the first to go. So they're not anchoring you, okay? But things that make room for that, that create the proper environment, that create the proper mindset, those are the anchor habits that we must start with, okay? Because they are going to give us the capacity for the other things. I probably just got way ahead of myself because I think that topic is still coming up. It's guilt driven versus grounded. Okay. So having a should do approach, this is kind of what I was just talking about with the 10,000 steps a day. I should be tracking my food. I should be hitting a protein goal. I should be drinking all of this water, right? So, yes, we do need to learn how to be self disciplined in this area of our lives, but having that should do approach in our chaotic life, it's not empowering, right? So, like, I should work out more. I should be drinking more water. I should be more consistent, right? That's not empowering. That's one of those things that's like, yeah, okay, one more thing that I'm failing at. Cheers. You know what I'm saying? This is actually a protein shake that was supposed to be part of my supper. So, I need to take a drink of this. But the thing that we want to do here is we don't want to be in that place, right? So we don't want our healthy habits to put us in a place where we just feel like we're failing all the time, right? Because if you just feel like you're failing all the time, what are you going to do? You're going to stop because it don't feel good, right? A grounded approach, we want to set up a natural flow. Setting up this natural flow is far more doable than chasing discipline, okay? So meal like this. Meal planning for the week gives back vital brain capacity and energy that I'm going to need later on this week. Okay? Meal planning should take like 10-15 minutes. I'm going to give you a system for that. So if meal planning is really it stresses you out and it's overwhelming right now, don't worry. I got you, okay? Um, Another one, my nighttime routine sets me up for a good night's sleep so that I can feel my best tomorrow. Okay. So we're starting with things that they're grounding, but they're things that we can build momentum on. Okay. So they're repeatable and they're rooted in how you want to feel. Okay. Because if we don't feel our best, we're not going to check all those boxes. Those boxes are not going to get checked. Right. So this is a progression that leads to a more disciplined life, but in a way that is grounding and giving you back more of what you want and less of what you don't, right? More feeling good, less feeling defeated, right? So that is what we want. So here is the anchor habit kind of progression. Um you're going to create a baseline, okay? So the thing about momentum is that you can manufacture it. So think about momentum when things are going really good and you're like, the scale's going down 2 pounds a week. You know, I'm feeling great. These workouts leave me pumped up. And you know what I'm talking about. We've all tasted it at least once to know what that momentum feels like. The thing is you can manufacture momentum. You don't have to wait to accidentally catch it. We can create it. And this is how we do that. It starts with one action that leads to another, that leads to another, and then leads to another. So, what we're going to do is we need to create a baseline, live that baseline, okay? And then you progress. You progress and create a new baseline. That is your new lifestyle standard and so on. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to set boundaries. So like look, this is a good progression that we have on screen here. Set boundaries. That's what we're doing right now. We're learning how to set boundaries so that we can take back control of our energy. We can control where our energy is going, and that is things like having a good bedtime routine, meal planning, things like that. So we've set boundaries, we've got more time, we've got more energy to focus on ourselves. Now we can meal plan. Okay. All right. So now we're meal planning. Let's add drinking some water. Then we can add movement, and then we can move on into tracking our food again. So this is something that a baseline that I have right now is like, so I just went through one of these life altering whirlwinds. Okay. And but throughout all of it, at my lowest of lows, I was still um I was still meal planning, making that grocery list. I still had my phone on do not disturb. I was still doing personal development as much as possible. I was like these things, I still had like a bedtime, a good nighttime routine, notification management, like not all hell broke loose over here, right? So I was still staying off social media, still managing things like that. So I was managing what was coming in. So I already had a baseline of things. Now, I was not tracking my food. I wasn't always moving every single day, and I wasn't always drinking enough water. I was doing some of it was 50%, some of it was 80%, but it wasn't zero. Okay, but it wasn't zero. So like that was my baseline. I wish that my baseline had been higher. I wish that I could have done more. But it was so much better than what I ever would have been, right? So right now, you guys are like at zero. You have no baseline because when things are happening, we just slip right back into the old habits, right? So we need to start with these grounding habits to create a baseline that is always protected. And then we can work up. Now, I hope that the next layer that I can add is um like walking 30 minutes every single day, no matter what, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on. Drinking water every single day, no matter what. I mean, my food, as far as like, for me, it's the sweets. Like, I cook, like, my baseline for cooking in the house is like pretty much whole food ingredients, very limited processed foods. We don't really go out to eat. I mean, we go out to eat a fair amount, but the thing is eating is always like my cooking is home cooking, scratch made food, things like that. I just really enjoy baking. I just really like to bake. But the thing is that's okay. That's okay. You just build this baseline, and I know where my baseline is. And so if I'm kind of flirting with it, it's like, okay, we got it. But anyway, that's all to give you hope that it can be done. You can live a life that when the whirlwind kicks up and things are going crazy, you have a baseline, and then we don't go below that, right? So and then we just continue to progress. So moving on, you are not broken. So the thing is, we're overwhelmed. We are overstimulated in a world that just keeps piling it on. And when okay, I always think about this. When I think about positive affirmations, like literally this comes to mind every single time. Have you watched the movie The Help or read the book? I highly recommend reading the book, but the movie is so good too. When she says, "You is kind, you is smart, you is important." But the thing is, like, every time I start to tell myself, like, you are not broken, things are like, you are fine, you are just overwhelmed, you are overstimulated. That is literally what goes through my mind. You is kind, you is smart, you is important. But seriously, though, look at all that you have accomplished. I'm very serious right now. Look at all that you have accomplished. Look at your life. Look at all that you carry. Look at all the people that depend on you. Okay. Now, you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not anything else that you tell yourself. I call I have in the past called myself way worse names than this. And I'm sure you've had some pretty nasty thoughts about yourself too. But the thing is, we were never meant to do all of these things. When I talk about the world that just keeps piling it on and the stimulation and um we were not meant to live with that. Okay? Um, you could go as far as saying like we're all women here in this group. I don't think that we were meant to do a man's job and a woman's job both, right? But we do. We do, and we overcome, and we do it every day. My dog just hit the he jumped up here. It's a sit stand desk and he hit the button and my desk was starting to go. I'm in a very important part of this recording. But the thing is, I am very fortunate to live it at a time, 2025. I am very fortunate to live at a time where being an ambitious, driven female is not frowned upon. I am loud, I am intense, I am bold, and I am passionate. And I am very fortunate that I have a husband that allows me to be all of those things. And he's like, you know what, babe? You just be as loud as you need to be, and because not all men are okay with that, but there's a reason for that because women started out literally just taking care of the home. That's where I was going with all of this. Women started out their whole job was taking care of the home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the husband. Well, now we have to do all that on top of having a career and having this phone that won't shut up, no matter what we do. But the thing is we have adapted. Look at how beautifully we have adapted, and we can continue to do that, okay? So, as human beings, whether you are a man or a woman, it does not matter whether you have traditional roles or not. The thing is, no human being was designed to respond to notifications and vibrations and sounds and things like that going off all the time. I think about this one time I literally had to park my car because I we had just gotten a new vehicle. I'd only had it for a couple of weeks and my phone like automatically connected to the Bluetooth. So the music that I was listening before started blaring like through the speakers. I was backing out of my driveway and it was beeping because my seatbelt wasn't on yet because I was talking to the kid and blah blah blah. All of these things are going on. I get out of my driveway and what else happened? It was like something else piled on top of all of that. There's another notification. It was like I left the Wi-Fi from the house and my phone was connecting to my car. And because I hadn't had all this stuff like set up yet, and I literally had to pull over on the road because my brain just stopped. I was on information overload. All the stimulation, the seat vibrated for some reason, and now it vibrates every time I back out of my driveway because it sees the neighbor's tree at the foot of my driveway and thinks it's a car coming at me. So it's like the sensors that vibrate my seat when I'm backing out of my driveway because of this tree every single time. But the thing is, like, I say all that to say, like, I shut down. I could not handle everything that was going on. And this is what our days are like all the time, all day. I don't let notifications vibrate my watch. I don't let all of these, I disconnected the Bluetooth from my car. Like, I don't need it doing all of these things all of the time. But just think about it like, that's what we put ourselves through. So we have to control that. If we don't take control over all of this stimulants and um like things that are going on, like our body, our physical body, not just our brain, our physical body is on information overload, right? So we have to take control of those things so that our body can relax. Relax, right? All right. Bottom line, decide what is the most important to you and cut out the rest. Because everything you let take your attention is taking a piece of your energy with it. And if you don't choose to stop that, then you are choosing to allow that thing to slowly siphon your energy. So decide what's the most important, cut out everything else. All right. All right, let's go over our worksheet. Here we go. All right, our worksheet. So we're going to go through a questionnaire, and we're going to answer these questions that help you identify your biggest pain points and where we need to start with anchor habits, okay? So, what time of day is most chaotic? What's getting in the way of your exercising? This is just brainstorming, okay? These don't have to turn into habits right now. We are just brainstorming what causes chaos, okay? So, just write it all down. When is it the most chaotic? What gets in the way of exercising? When you decide not to exercise, why? What's the reason, right? What's your biggest struggle when it comes to mealtime, getting healthy food on the table for your family? What gets in the way of getting a good night's sleep? All of the things. We're hitting them all, guys. All right. And then we're going to brainstorm for a biggest impact. What would make the most chaotic time smoother? What would help you start positive momentum? So here's some examples. I went through examples through our presentation through the slides, so I won't continue that, but it's just kind of more of the same, right? And then what habit would make this part better, right? So then you're going to brainstorm that. So the thing is would this habit also create an environment, okay? Because the point of this is just going backwards until we get it's not just exercise more often, it's not just wake up earlier, it's not just that. Let's trace it all the way back to that anchor habit that's going to help you get grounded, okay? So and then now is when you're going to choose one, two, three habits, maybe just one, maybe just two, that only you can decide. But we're going to create that baseline, okay? And you're going to write that down. All right. Let's get back to where we are. Okay. Oh, guys, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. This was James Clear. I'll have to look it up. What book was that from? That came out of a book, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now. James Clear, author. Just Google it. Great, great guy. I love it all. But this quote specifically, when it comes to habits, you don't rise to the level of your goals. We all have a goal, right? We all want to like lose weight. We want to get healthier. We want to fit into those jeans. That's our goal, right? That's the pain. That's the pain point that got us here. But the thing is are you in the past? Let's just look at our own life examples. In the past, have you risen to the level of your goals? You can sustain it for a little while, right? Tracking your food, hitting your calories, hitting that protein goal, drinking enough water, getting 10,000 steps in a day, getting 3 to 4 days of resistance training it, right? So are we rising to the level of what our goals demand? No. We can do it for a short period of time, but we are always going to fall to the level of our systems if we have not built that solid baseline, the grounding anchor habits that anchor us in the chaos, right? So that whirlwind doesn't come and blow us away. All right, guys, I could just keep saying the same things over and over again, but you've heard it. So, thank you Have a great night. All right, I gotta find all my controls here. All right, guys. Have a great night, and I will talk to you all very soon.